Will you still love Isagi till the end? Ever since Kaneshiro said this at a fan meeting, everyone's been wondering, what will Isagi do to make us question this? As the reigning champion of the Neo-Egoist League and the #1 player in BLUELOCK, Isagi is at his highest point going into the U20 World Cup. But we know in stories though, protagonists go up and they go down, with those previous words haunting him, and a lot of hints towards Isagi flying too close to the sun. Is this foreshadowing towards his impending downfall? And with the U20 World Cup here, it's important we analyze everything about Isagi, what this quote really means, to see if he'll continue to rise to the top, or will it eventually all come crashing down for him and his character for the future of BLUELOCK? First things first, why is this even a question? Why do people think Isagi will have a downfall? Now, there is 3 main reasons for this, and they all connect together. Starting with the first and most obvious one, the quote, "Will you still love Isagi till the end?" is something that immediately raised red flags and alarms. We don't know exactly what it can mean, and we may be looking too far into it, but it's heavily implying that Isagi will do something that will test our loyalty to him. Now, what is this something is the big question. Is he gonna do something with his actions, say something, or push someone past their limits with his expectation? And I think the most obvious one that everyone looks towards is Chigiri and his leg, a fan favorite character that has been with us since the start of the series. Chigiri's leg has always been an important plot piece in the series, a character who was afraid to get re-injured, coming back to chase his dream of becoming the best, while being a fan favorite all throughout it. The risk and reward is what makes Chigiri's character. But if Isagi did push Chigiri over the edge where he re-injures his leg, then that would be something that 100% will question our loyalty or love for Isagi, just like the quote said. A play where Isagi forces Chigiri past his limits just to meet his expectations, unintentionally damaging his leg, which effectively ends his career and football dreams. Chigiri's leg has always been hinted at for being re-injured, and whether you think it's gonna happen or it's just a red herring, the most obvious evidence we've gotten for this is in the episode Nagi manga. Hiragi, if you guys remember this fraud, he did tarot card readings for Nagi, Chigiri, and Barou, and Chigiri's was the most interesting. I've previously made a video discussing about this, but his tarot card reading was the devil, which meant seduction, betrayal, and ruin. The bomb he is chained to is on a countdown to destruction, so he should think about what's truly important to him. Now, seduction and ruin is kinda out there, but betrayal is the word we should be highlighting. Isagi is a player who Chigiri is close with, and if he did something, it would be a betrayal from him towards Chigiri. Chigiri's ticking time bomb is obviously his leg. I'm pretty sure he literally referred to it as the ticking time bomb, so the dots are connecting between the two. And again, if Isagi did this, a very big if, then it would 100% test our loyalty towards him. I think Chigiri is an all-round lovable character by the community, so will we still love Isagi till the end, even if he does this? Now, although the evidence is good for that, is it entirely necessary? Not really. I would rather have Chigiri go out on his own terms, like racing against Loki and then snapping his leg winning, and not being betrayed by Isagi. I mean, if Isagi did this, he would literally be public enemy #1. So it can really go both ways, but if it wasn't for that, then what does this quote actually mean? Which takes us to our second point, Isagi's ego. With Isagi being the #1 and also the champion of the NEL, his confidence grew alongside his ego, and same with his desires. He wants to be the machine that makes Japan the best in the world. If we go to chapter 311, coincidentally the chapter right before the U20 World Cup, I think it's so much more important than what we think. Specifically the moment where Isagi scores a goal from Hiyori's cross, and Isagi starts correcting Hiyori with a no thank you, a no nice job, nothing. He immediately went to ways Hiyori could improve, and Hiyori says he's not a robot, with Karasu saying Isagi is asking for too much. Now, to be honest, I think this Hiyori correction isn't too wild to call Isagi an outright villain or too egotistical. Honestly, you can see it as constructive criticism as it is a practice match, but like Karasu said, Isagi could have worded it better. On top of this, more evidence for Isagi having a bigger ego is everyone's favorite performative man, Itoshi Rin, who included himself in the conversation, saying that Isagi thinks he's the center of the team and to save it after he's beaten him. So 2 telltale signs that Isagi is having a bigger ego. Now, what do I think of this? It's not really a big deal. To basically debunk this, Isagi having a bigger ego won't make him a worse player. The manga is all about being egotistical. Why the hell would Isagi get punished for having a bigger ego? So his downfall or this quote doesn't directly relate to his game playing. In fact, Isagi having a bigger ego will make him a better player. But keep in mind that word player specifically, because him having a bigger ego isn't necessarily the problem. The problem is the effects a bigger ego gives you, which is our third and final point, Isagi's personality. Now, we've obviously seen Isagi's personality change in game. I know y'all have seen that crazy talk, but with a bigger ego comes the danger of a big ego, being more heartless and prioritizing yourself, which is where I think Isagi's actual downfall will be. Going back to that example of him and Hiyori, right before the U20 World Cup, by the way, if that's not foreshadowing, I don't know what is, but you can see him demanding more. The fact that he got the crazy swirly eyes when Karasu even brought up Isagi is asking too much just tells you Isagi's personality is starting to match his big ego. Again, this case is a little confusing because it's a practice game. Of course, you want to improve on any mistakes. In fact, I'm on Isagi's side here in this case, but you can't deny the fact that Isagi is being way more demanding towards Hiyori to fit a higher standard. Now, on paper, this is a good thing, but what if others can't fit your expectation? We are now in the U20 World Cup, and Isagi wants to make Japan the best in the world. So on that path to do so, he has to, quote-unquote, abandon those who can't match that ideal or ego. Isagi talked about how Hiyori needs to make the cross faster at the world-class level. But if Hiyori can't do it, there has to be a player better than him. And I'm pretty sure it's gonna be Itoshi Sai. This guy might just be Thanos or Faker, all paths lead to me, but I really think this is where we get our Isagi and Sai team up. Another thing that was teased by Kaneshiro in a fan meeting. So you can see where I'm going with this. He'll be quick to abandon Hiyori and team up with Sai if that means making Japan the best and fitting his new big expectation and ego. Hiyori is one big example, but we can also see this for other characters like Corona, who was Isagi's right-hand man in the NEL, and that's very important. Corona was basically the only person to support Isagi during Manshine and helped him prove himself during the Neo Egos League. Corona is probably the #1 prospect right now for getting abandoned, which is a little sad, but think about it. We haven't really seen him work with anyone other than Isagi. So if Isagi does end up abandoning Corona or finds no use in him, then Corona is next on the chopping block for being eliminated. When we eventually get another elimination selection, I know we're in the U20 World Cup, either that or he's just gonna get no screen time. Corona as a character was loved because of his loyalty to Isagi, being a good friend, having a fun personality. Like literally his development came from the NEL. We didn't know anything else about him until then. And now he's a fan favorite. So him getting betrayed and chosen over will be a betrayal on Isagi's part. More on the readers though, because we've grown to really like Corona and his character, which just tells you how good Kaneshiro's writing is. And the evidence is all there for him doing this, abandoning someone that doesn't work. Like Hiyori during the Ubers game, who he asked not to be played in order for Hiyori to come in. And the reason why Hiyori came in was because Yuki Miya wasn't up to speed, because he did the wrong pass to Isagi. So both Yuki Miya and Hiyori were basically thrown to the side for Hiyori, and it obviously worked during Uber, so nobody batted an eye. But I think it's a little different for the U20 World Cup, because now so much is at stake. Isagi's goal is finally here. he's solely focused on making Japan the best, so he'll make the best decisions to do so, even if it means hurting or abandoning his friends. And also, Isagi having a big ego, I think he'll lose the ability to really differentiate his on and off-field persona, and we know his on-field persona is crazy. Imagine if he straight up tells them that they can't keep up with him or that he doesn't need them anymore. It would be such a heartbreak for us as readers and also the characters, but more of us as readers, right? People that supported Isagi, characters that we've grown to love, Corona, Hiyori, are being put to the side, almost disrespected by Isagi, even if it might be true. Like, even if Hiyori and Corona can't keep up, or the best play is to link up with Itoshi-sai instead, obviously this would hurt Hiyori, Corona, or hell, maybe even Bachara. But that's kind of a reach. It would genuinely be insane, though, if he did end up abandoning Bachara. But personality-wise, even if it didn't come with any harmful intent, those ideals and goals will end up hurting others, like I've said so many times by now, either by being more demanding or hurting the feelings of them. Which ties into our first point, the quote Kaneshiro said about, "Will you still love Isagi till the end?" It is up to us as viewers to either side with Isagi, who is choosing to be the best and will do whatever it takes, or go against him for throwing away his humanity and the friends who got him here in the first place. So now you can see how it all ties together, Isagi losing his humanity just to chase his own ideals, and how every single point pretty much explains this quote. From abandoning his friends and maybe even telling them that they aren't good enough, and if he does completely derail and injure Chigiri like the first theory, then 100% our loyalty will be tested on Isagi's character. In fact, I think most people would hate Isagi after that. So it really is a moral dilemma. Are we as viewers okay with Isagi abandoning others and doing this if it means winning? Because we know Isagi is willing to do whatever it takes to make Japan the best. He's already made his choice. It's inevitable this will happen. It all results in one thing. Isagi's downfall is his personality, and it will be lonely at the top. We've seen countless other characters and tropes who are lonely at the top. In fact, most of Jujutsu Kaisen's characters are literally that trope, so Isagi will have to go over this obstacle and hump of being lonely at the top. But let's be honest, like any other time he's in a slump, he's gonna make it through this lone wolf phase and then maybe regain his humanity later on. But the manga was literally about creating the best striker and sacrificing all 299 other players. I wouldn't be surprised if this lone wolf Isagi is what we get for the endgame, and him having to deal with the repercussions of it for the future of BLUELOCK. I think the only thing that tracks this is the fact that signing up for BLUELOCK, you know what you're getting into. The characters are all aware that everyone is striving to be the best and there will all be sacrifices. We've seen some characters give the same energy as well. Hiyori straight up said he would abandon Isagi if he can't keep up, so it's the same energy here, but it's a little more realistic because Isagi can keep up. I don't know about Hiyori, I don't know if he can keep up. That's why it's up to the viewers to decide whether Isagi's actions are justified or not, because your favorite characters might be getting affected by him. Alright, that about wraps it up though. I want to know what y'all think of this theory. If Isagi does end up having a downfall, will you stay by his side or will you end up questioning his actions? It's very interesting and open to interpretation. Again, this is just a theory or what I think, so it may not be 100% accurate or I might be missing some details, but I just want to discuss this with you guys and bring up a lot of points because I think there's both a lot of hints and misconceptions with Isagi's downfall. This is personally what I think will happen and what I think makes the most sense from what we've seen so far. If you made it to the end though, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to hit the subscribe button to stay up to date with everything BLUELOCK related. YouTube really thinks you'd like this video right here, so be sure to check that one out too. I love y'all so much and I'll see y'all in the next one.